Hello and welcome. I'm Eric Gao with a look back at former President Tsai Ing-wen's legacy, in case you missed it. One of President Tsai's major campaign promises was to seek justice for victims of Taiwan's past authoritarian government. Jeremy Olivier looks at the progress that she made and what survivors say still needs to be done.
92-year-old Tsai Ing-wen is one of the few remaining survivors of Taiwan's White Terror, a decades-long period of political repression and suppression by an authoritarian Kuomintang, or Chinese nationalist regime. Tsai told TaiwanPlus he was arrested twice for political offenses, suffering torture and other human rights abuses at the hands of his captors. When he was set to be released, the authorities added another 3 years to his sentence. Collectively, Tsai spent 13 years behind bars.
这路无什么个人的感想，是安尼无个人的感想，在威权统治之下，人民的权利并无受保障，连生命财产都无受保障的情形之下，人民哪有什么？
When Taiwan moved toward democracy in the 1990s, Tsai banded together with fellow White Terror survivors to call for transitional justice. They demanded recognition of what they had been through and accountability for the wrongs committed by the previous government. Taiwan was long denied this process because the Kuomintang, or KMT, continued to hold the presidency or legislature for 30 years after martial law was lifted in 1987. But in 2016, a new president was inaugurated who promised to carry out transitional justice. 2 terms and 8 years since, Tsai Ing-wen and her Democratic Progressive Party-led government have made several steps toward that goal. The most substantial, setting up the Transitional Justice Commission, a temporary cabinet-level body tasked with investigating White Terror-era incidents. Tsai's government also unsealed classified archives, removed symbols of Taiwan's authoritarian past, and gave former political prisoners a clean slate.
受害者的罪名大概有5900多件被撤销了，那所以他们得到完整的这个清白之身哦，然后司法上面的记录被涂销，并且在这个前提之下，他们的这个受损的权利，包括说过去被没收的土地哦，不动产这个部分也是过去法律没有处理的，在这一次都把它处理完。
Despite its progress on this issue, Tsai Ing-wen's government has also received sharp criticism, especially for its decision to also go after the KMT's assets, many of which were taken illegitimately when the party arrived in Taiwan from China in the 1940s. It was seen as an unfair partisan attack. Tsai's government was also faulted for not adequately educating the public on the need for transitional justice.
On the one hand, it has institutionalized the efforts to pursue transitional justice. But on the other hand, it failed to make the public has a more deliberative forum to talk about this kind of issues in Taiwanese society.
For those like Tsai Ing-wen, who suffered so much under martial law, the sting of those memories are now less painful in the comfort of their homes. But just outside, reminders of that period are still everywhere. Like the tens of thousands of statues of Taiwan's former president, Chiang Kai-shek, who many view as a brutal dictator. There's a huge memorial to him in Taipei, one of the city's most well-known landmarks, a sign of the challenges the DPP government has faced in ridding Taiwan of these markers.
那清楚威权象征阻力还是蛮大，这个阻力当然是国民党。那最大的一个问题。
Survivors of the White Terror say that the most important part of transitional justice is making sure those in power do not repeat the mistakes of the past, and bringing peace to society. Their hope that the outgoing president's efforts over the last 8 years will not have been in vain, and that the fight for truth and justice in Taiwan continues even after Tsai Ing-wen leaves office. Patrick Chen, Yu-Chen Lai, and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.
Tsai also looked to improve Taiwan's economy. Joy Tsin reports on her efforts to expand Taiwan's trade horizons.
When Tsai Ing-wen became president, she pledged to strengthen and diversify Taiwan's role in the Indo-Pacific region, Fostering ties with other countries is not easy for Taiwan, blocked by Beijing on the world stage with its rejection of Taiwan's sovereignty. According to Taiwan's top trade negotiator, John Deng, who served under 4 presidents in his career, Tsai's values inspired her administration to try something new.
She values individual people, so I think she always encouraged that if we can help, we should help. We can expand our goodwill and take care of more population in our neighboring countries.
Tsai wanted to collaborate with regional partners beyond trade and launched a signature plan called the New Southbound Policy. It built on ideas from the 90s, introduced by former President Lee Teng-hui and his Go South policy, which encouraged Taiwanese firms to do business in Southeast Asia, specifically ASEAN nations. Tsai's version expanded the scope, including not just the 10 ASEAN countries, but also 6 countries in South Asia, plus Australia and New Zealand. Tsai also widened the policy's focus to 4 areas: economy and trade, talent exchange, resource sharing, and regional connectivity.
The legacy of President Tsai Ing-wen is to make Taiwan indispensable. The new southbound policy worked very hard to convey Taiwan's warm power diplomacy.
Under the new southbound policy, Taiwan doubled the number of students from the target countries who came to study in Taiwan, signed 19 agricultural MOUs to boost regional food security, and in the height of the pandemic, donated millions of masks around the world under an initiative called Taiwan Can Help.
Another way Taiwan has been offering its help is in firefighting and emergency rescue. Taiwan, like several other countries in the region, is threatened by natural disasters, from typhoons to massive earthquakes like the one that struck the eastern coast in early April. Now, Taiwan has spent years perfecting its disaster response, and the head of the National Fire Agency says this knowledge is highly sought after.
Director General Xiao Huanzhang says the agency's training doesn't just focus on Taiwan's specific needs, it also meets international standards. That's what allowed Taiwanese personnel to assist rescue missions even outside of the region, like last year in Turkey, after it was hit by a deadly magnitude 7.8 earthquake.
Check! Check!
Xiao says sharing best practices among rescuers is crucial to the common goal of saving lives, and why the agency is open to international collaboration. Since 2010, Taiwan has hosted over 380 Filipino volunteer firefighters at its training center in southern Taiwan. The program's success also caught the attention of the Philippines Fire Protection Bureau, who've regularly sent their officials to train in Taiwan since 2019.
国际社会对于消防救灾、紧急应变事故处理绝对没有国际的疆界，因为它是 focus 上人命的安全issue上面，所以这个区块我们的交流应该是放诸四海皆准。
Connecting with other countries on shared values is the essence of Tsai's new southbound policy. And in her time as president, Tsai's message of Taiwan Can Help was heard around the world and across different sectors, a big boost in global recognition of Taiwan's potential. John Su and Joyce Sun for TaiwanPlus.
During her 2 terms in office, Tsai made major strides for the LGBTQ+ community. Reese Ayers looks at the progress she made.
Just a presidential hopeful at the time, Tsai Ing-wen declares her support for same-sex marriage in a video ahead of the 2016 general election.
在爱之前，大家都是平等的。我是蔡英文，我支持婚姻平权，让每一个人都可以自由去爱，追求幸福。
Tsai went on to win that election, beginning the most progressive era for LGBTQ+ rights in Taiwan's history. The Tsai administration wasn't the first to propose queer-friendly legislation. Bills and amendments put forward by her Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, had stalled and failed on several occasions before. But pro-LGBTQ+ politicians quickly got to work after the 2016 change in government.
今天是更聚焦说，到底是要修民法，还是要修特别法，制定特别法？那当然，制定特别法，这里就牵涉到的到底是同性婚姻法还是同性伴侣法。
During its first year, the Tsai administration also appointed Audrey Tang to a ministerial position, the first openly trans person to hold a spot in the executive cabinet. The health ministry also banned conversion therapy. Then, in spring 2017, veteran activist Qi Jiawei took Taiwan's constitution to court.
过去的那样子不给同性婚姻法律的保障的要求，是非常非常糟糕 ，terrible.
Qi's and other cases got the ball moving, though marriage equality bills faced fierce opposition in government, leading to a referendum at the end of 2018 that revealed a more conservative public attitude than expected.
那今天的这个结果，其实也显示了，在台湾的这个公投元年，所有的进步议题其实遭受到强大保守势力的反扑。那我们也非常清楚地看到，我们还需要更多的练习，这个社会才能进入到理性思辨的公民社会的阶段。
Taiwan's people voted against changing the definition of marriage in the civil code, but did agree to protections for same-sex couples through other legal means.
The result of a referendum is a discussion about in what way should we amend the law. So at the end, the government just have to obey the referendum and to provide a separate law rather than to amend our civil code.
In May 2019, that separate law paved the way for Taiwan to become the first country in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage.
台湾的人们可以选择自己要投票给谁，可以选择自己跟谁结婚。
But that separate law wasn't made equal. Some same-sex partners with different nationalities still couldn't marry or have the same adoption rights as heterosexual couples.
Co-adoption is another issue because, according to the law, it secured the marriage relation between two people, but not necessarily of their children.
But in 2023, after years of advocacy, full adoption rights were given to same-sex couples. And then DPP Premier Su Jin-chang announced all couples could wed regardless of nationality, except if they're from China. There's been progress for the trans community too. Since 2021, trans people no longer need proof of surgery to legally change their gender. Though rights groups say transgender people still face systematic discrimination in Taiwan.
Taiwan is still suffering from binary gender system in daily life, in the workplace, in house care settings.
And activists say there are also other issues that need addressing.
The right to use reproductive technology and also surrogacy and also transnational marriage between Taiwanese and Chinese. For gay men in Taiwan, we still cannot do blood donation.
And LGBTQ+ representation in politics has been underwhelming.
But in terms of the politician, the LGBT community participate in politics, the percentage actually was quite low. And right now we only have, I think, 2 to 3.
But with Tsai's VP Lai Ching-te, who is now a vocal supporter of LGBTQ+ rights, about to take the reins, he looks set to continue the momentum already built.
未来我会跟大家站在一起，在多元同行的路上一起迈进。
So as Tsai's final term as president comes to an end, and the country reflects on her tenure, progress for LGBTQ+ rights will be one of the highlights of her administration's legacy. Dolphin Chen and Rees for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching. In case you missed it, I'm Eric Gao. Take care.